Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. Please help yourself to breakfast and honestly sponsored. Everybody's welcome to stay for a most interesting shir from Dr. Avram Moshe Yeager. It's called Machlokas, Eternal Consequences. We have plenty of room. You don't have to fight to get in, so please join us for the Chabur this morning. You know what's interesting? We learned the laws of Minyan, Kedusha, and Dvar Kedusha. You have to say Kedusha or say Kaddish from this week's parsha. How so? The Torah says in Vayikra, "V'nigdashti b'sof b'nei Yisrael," I should be sanctified among the children of Israel. We use the word b'tov. The Gemara makes the Gezerah Shava. There's another place which says b'tov. We'll be dealing with the Amasa here. This parsha, God says, "Amasa la'eda harozos." How long for this evil assembly? The word b'tov is in both places. So the Gemara determines that this evil assembly has to comprise 10 people. How do we know that? That it's actually 10. Because there's another place where it talks about the Eda, and the Torah says, in this week's parsha it says, "He bugged me to separate yourself," and dealing with the Ragam says, "Admasal Eda Harazos." Until how long was this evil assembly? How many were there? There were 10, because Yeshua and Kalev were not part of the evil assembly. There were 10 spies, so we know there were 10 people. So Eda is considered 10. So we learn over here we have to have 10 people. So the question is, why are we learning how to have a minyan or Dvar Kedusha from this group? This group obviously had bad intentions. They were bad. It's Korach, Machlokas, the whole works. And similarly, the 250 people that brought incense. And guess what happened to the frying pans? God said to Moshe, melt them down and use them to copper to coat the Mizbeach. These 250 people were rebelling against Moshe, and yet we're taking their fire pans and we're making them part of the Mizbeach. What's going on over here? So Yisachar Fram brings Rabbi Yaakov Luban to give us a tremendous insight. As human beings, we tend to look at things black and white. I look at you, you're kosher, you're treif. We make quicker judgment. We don't really get involved in nuances. But God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, was able to see the beyond. And yes, Korach challenged Moshe's leadership. He wanted to be the head honcho. He wanted to be the big guy, big kahuna, literally the big kahuna. But the fact is, though, he had also another motive in there, that he was striving for holiness. And that was part of his struggle over here. God is able to see that not only was he looking for himself, he also had an ulterior motive where he's looking for Kedusha, for holiness. And therefore, we use that same holiness, that God uses that for good purpose. In fact, what does he say? Rav Lechem b'nei Levi, there's too much for the sons of Levi. And God used the same expression, Rav to reject Moshe's request to enter the Holy Land. When somebody expresses a desire for holiness, for a connection to God, as Korach and his people did, you can't just dismiss and say completely pray. Yes, there's a bad part to it, but there's also a good part to it too. Similar to 250 people, they were rebelling against Aaron, but at the same time they had a need for Kedusha. And the Marav also had the same kind of thing. Yes, they were worried about their leadership, but they also were concerned about maybe the Jews couldn't take too much Kedusha. They were going to live in a different existence. They wouldn't be as holy as they were. So we have to recognize the holiness. And I close with the Satmar Rebbe. The Satmar Rebbe recounted his great-grandfather, Yitzhak Moshe, told his grandfather, the Itav Lev, that he believed in reincarnation. There's a whole debate in Judaism, do we believe in migration of the souls, in reincarnation? But the Satmar Rebbe believed in reincarnation. And his great-grandfather said that he was 3 times reincarnated. And one of the time he lived during the time of Korach. He was there, part of Korach. So the Itav Lev asked his father to describe the events that took place. And he said all the heads of the Sanhedrin, all the leadership sided with Moshe, and the rest of the people, the heads of the Sanhedrin sided with Korach, but the Hamonam, the people, sided with Moshe Rabbeinu. So he was asked, whose side were you on? He asked his grandfather, the Satmar Rebbe. He goes, I was neutral. So the Itav Lev was not happy. He goes, how could you be neutral? Shouldn't you be on Moshe's side? It goes without even saying, like, what's the shot over here? So Yitzhak Moshe answered, had you been there and seen Korach, you'd have been shocked by my neutrality. Korach wanted holiness. There was an element of good. He was charismatic. He seemed to be openly defying Hashem, but at the same time, people are complex, and that's what we're learning here. That people may seem outwardly bad, but there's always some elements of good in them, and that's why we learn Kedusha and holiness and minyan from this particular situation. When if we were no, I will look, we say treif, throw them away. God says no. Let's pick out the good parts. Have a wonderful day.